Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is upgrading the soul. It's actually a totally incorrect way to put it, but I was thinking of how people are going through like dark nights of the soul, and I experienced something similar, but what I realized is it wasn't accurate to call it a dark night of the soul. For one thing, soul is too limiting a description of what this experience is when you are operating as consciousness. And nothing is ever really dark when you're operating as consciousness, but it definitely did feel like a very uncomfortable upgrade. And I have observed people around me going through really challenging times. And for me, it was kind of mystifying, interesting, because it had been such a long time since I had felt that kind of attack of the killer gremlins and series of experiences where it felt like things were happening to me and powerlessness and all this kind of stuff that isn't in my vocabulary or my awareness of interacting in the world nowadays. And what is going on in the world nowadays is all of this is story. All of this is story. What is going around in the world nowadays is a collective upgrading. Some people are feeling like it's an awakening. Some people are feeling like it's a dark night of the soul. Another description is an evolution. And if it's an evolution, evolution is accelerating. My experience is consciousness. It's coming more into form. And in the old days, I used to say that I was expanding so much my aura had stretch marks. And it does kind of feel like that. There's just this, And I really think it depends on how much resistance you're in as well. I certainly resisted some of the things that was happening, and it was just like, this doesn't make sense to me. So the reason why I talk about it being upgrading is think of it as an upgrade from the previous version of reality or the previous version of reality that you were running, and you have accelerated to a new level of comprehension, and it requires a new operating system, and that's what's going on. When you think about going through a dark night of the soul, it's like going into a tunnel of darkness. It's going in through challenges that really are soul searching and bringing out the darkness or battling the darkness or stuff like that. And I would say now that darkness is only where you have not shone light. Darkness is unconsciousness. Darkness is places you haven't been conscious of before. And when you're doing a remodel to expand, when you're doing a spring cleaning, you're going to notice where you haven't dusted before. You're going to pull out your sofas and see what's behind it. So for me, it's been pretty interesting and phenomenal to see the stuff that is popping out. And I think the important thing, too, is to not take it seriously. Because as consciousness, you're bigger than all that. As consciousness, we're bigger than all that. And as consciousness, we're just sort of rearranging our pieces in the fish tank, and the stuff is floating to the surface. It'll all settle down. We'll be in a clearer, brighter spot. However, if you're in one of those spots right now where you don't feel in touch with your awareness and you're going like, oh God, I haven't felt this way in years, and maybe I haven't made any progress at all, and maybe I really am right back down in the basement. I just want to reassure you that your remodel is almost complete, that you're really remodeling your master bedroom in the penthouse rather than rearranging the basement. It feels like the basement because you've expanded and or knocking out old sheetrock or peeling off old wallpaper or something like that. But you really are expanding, and you are that farther up the scale. You wouldn't be listening to this unless you were that farther up the scale. So even if it doesn't feel that way right now, this too shall pass. It will get better. Just keep on waking up and taking the next step forward, and you will have great clarity soon. If you like these videos, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I put out a weekly podcast and radio show. I also put out a weekly blog and newsletter. I do these videos once a week. I also hold monthly webinars. Oh, and I do meetups around the Puget Sound in Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, University Place, and Vashon Island. And if you want to know more about how to navigate your life as consciousness, how to get through these upgrades of the soul, then go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and look at my coaching programs. So go to joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you in another week with another Mystic Minute.